Welcome to the GTN Show.
Yeah, we have some reactions from the Olympics. We have also the mixed team relay and, well, our reactions to that.
Plus an exciting new race in China and some concerning doping news.
On to the GTN Show. Well, we're almost a week on now from the Olympic Games, the individual events at least. We will get onto the mixed team relay in a moment. And, well, with all the triumphs from the Olympics and all the amazing performances that we celebrate, there's actually often more people out there that are disappointed and devastated by their results. And we're just going to go through a couple of those because,
I guess it's always the case. I mean, there's lots of people in the Olympic Games and only 3 get medals. So, there's a lot of disappointment. Let's start with this one. As Martin van Riel, he says, consistency has been my strength in my career, and to do a performance so far disconnected from how I felt in training and what I thought I could do really hurts. I could barely put one leg in front of the other on the run yesterday, and I have no explanation for it. I'm honestly in shock that this happened on what I hope to be the highlight of my career. And obviously, this is Martin van Riel, who won the T100 in San Francisco with a blistering run. To be honest, he might have run faster in that T100 than he did in this race. So very frustrating for him, and probably more frustrating for a professional athlete to not actually have an explanation of why. Like it's one thing when you have a bad day or you wake up sick or there's an injury niggle or something, but when you just go out there and it's just not there. And I think Georgia Taylor-Brown had similar feeling on that. It just wasn't firing for some reason, an unknown reason. And it's maybe the hardest thing to cope with. To swallow.
Definitely. I mean, he wasn't alone. Obviously, many others, but Christian Blumenfeld obviously was another notable other. So quite disappointed with my 12th place finish yesterday. Was expecting to have more of my legs coming off the bike, but didn't. Hats off to Alexis Hayden-Wild and Leo Berger.
I think this one really sums up that feeling. Katie Zaferis, who wasn't there, but she said, I kind of hate that the place on the results list is just a number. It doesn't show the intricacies within the race and each moment of struggle overcome. It doesn't show what it took for each and every athlete to get there. It doesn't reveal all the hard work that has been put into each day on the journey that is shaped over their lifetimes. It doesn't show all the sacrifices that have been made in their endeavor. It doesn't show the strife that each person has dealt with mentally, emotionally, and physically. It doesn't show the injuries, the doubts, the days that were a struggle. It doesn't show how many times they picked themselves up and decisively chose that this is what they want again and again. I look at the results of the Olympics and I'm just full of emotion, wanting to hug each person for all the reasons, whether it was the day they dreamt of or the day they fought through. And I think that pretty much sums it up. When you're professional or ex-professional, you've been there and you watch it, your heart actually more goes, as much as you want to like look at the winners and go, amazing, so stoked for them, that's incredible. Your heart actually goes to the rest of them and goes, they put so much into that 3 years of hard work and sacrifice to get to that day. And then they kind of just leave with a pat on the back and go, well, tough luck. Try again next time.
It's quite a moving post by Katie, actually.
It is,
It's, very heartfelt. Well, we actually got sent this by Rachel Clammer. She actually tagged us in on this because, well, she lost touch with the front group during the swim. We talked a lot about not just the water quality, but the actual current, the strength of the current. And you will have seen it on the footage when they're racing, not only when they turned and sort of came back towards that finish, the pontoon, but actually as they tried to go through the bridge where it's sort of the pressure of the water funneled through, you could see the athletes almost came to a standstill. And she gets absolutely battered. You even hear her yell out at one point as swimmers just go over the top of her, because once you get dunked, you've slowed down and other people come over the top, and it was quite a scary moment, really.
Yeah, we actually said in the lead up and in the review after the race that having a swim where there's such a strong current is not really fair on anyone. It's almost impossible to have a fair course. And if you see in that clip, she's pushed to the side, and you don't really want to get yourself caught on that side, but also you have to avoid the current, which means you have to go as close to the side as possible. Then the other athletes are coming in. One of them actually looks like they push off the buoy that's there to stop them going too far, and then push over her and push her down and under the water. I'm really brutal.
It's hard to say whether any of that is obviously intentional. I think actually a lot should fall on the organisers with the course. The athletes just shouldn't have been in that situation in the first place, really. It just wasn't suitable. It
is part of triathlon, having a button fight at the first turn, etc. You do expect it, and there will be some...
I live for it, James.
Argy-bargy. Oh, yeah, some people do. Some people are also guilty of it, but you really don't want to see it because of the course structure, or because of something that's unexpected in the course, like a choke point or something like that. You want a free, fair course. If you do want to avoid the bun fight, you should be able to go out and round and swim the long way around. Whereas in this case, there was no avoiding that. You were just kind of forced into a situation, which is not ideal. Anyway, it's happened now.
Now, okay. Individual race aside, now we're moving on to the mixed team relay, which has taken it's taken place on Monday of this week. But in the lead up to that, obviously, we have all the teams announced, who's in those teams. But a lot of those, all of them were in the individual event. And, they had to swim in the Seine, in the dirty water. And there have been some victims of the Seine.
Yeah, interestingly, they announced the evening before the mixed team relay that the water quality was fine, whereas for the individual, they could only, for some reason, test it right on that morning. But I'm not sure it was fine. If you watch the mixed team relay, you'll see that the water is significantly darker shade of green than it was for the individual. And in fact, the Belgians, their entire team was taken out of the mixed team relay because one of their athletes got sick after that individual one. Now, obviously, you can't 100% put it on the water in the Seine, but let's be honest.
Yeah.
It was probably the water.
And another one that, they haven't said exactly the reasoning, but it was Sylvain Friedelands actually took the place of Simon Westerman
on the Swiss team.
On the Swiss team, and again, they don't say why, but you can probably assume it was.
Pretty sure that Claire Michel from that Belgian team, and which took out the whole Belgian team, and the Swiss athlete were ill from the Seine, and I'm pretty sure after the mixed team relay, having looked at the colour of that water, not that you can judge it from the colour of the water, but there'll be a few more who spend a day in bed after that race. Anyway, let's get to the actual mixed team relay and all the results. All right, we're not going to give you a blow-by-blow and run through the entire race, but we're going to pick out a few poignant moments to discuss. Firstly, there was a false start. Yeah, again, no two noises this time, though, and it was a pretty clear false start. Ricardo Batista from Portugal did get a penalty in T1 because of his false start. Definitely didn't gain the 15 seconds he lost in T1.
15 seconds in a mixed team relay is a lot of time as well.
Exactly. So it definitely wasn't worth it for him. And it was pretty blatant. He went off. The Netherlands might have gone off early too, but they didn't get a penalty. Anyway, then they kind of all came out in mostly a pack, except Hayden Wild kind of missed that pack, which was interesting. Although he did have Max Studer for company, and they did work well together to get back into that group before disaster struck.
Yeah, they went into the final 180-degree turn.
Yeah.
And, Hayden had just before kind of putting a big surge, and he slid out on the 180.
Hit the deck. Hayden Wild's got very good bike handling skills. I don't know what went wrong. We haven't heard what exactly went wrong. But actually, it wasn't that bad for Hayden. It was way worse for France and Pierre Lecour because he hit Hayden right after he had crashed, went over his handlebars. They both got up straight away, no significant damage done, although Hayden did come in with a bloody nose from his run leg. But Pierre Lecour then dropped his chain in the process, or his bike dropped his chain. He had to stop, get his chain back on, which means he was 30 seconds behind coming off the bike, which turned into 40 seconds behind after Alexis's run leg. And that was it.
Yeah, they were basically out of it. They were just kind of solo off the back, whereas Hayden at least managed to kind of join forces with, I forget which team it was now, but they managed to kind of at least stay in contention.
But a mixed team relay, 40 seconds, draft legal, that's it, game over. The favourites, France, were no longer in it. Which is, it was brutal, disappointing.
Well, I'm scooting ahead a little bit now to leg 3. Sam Dickinson, the one that we maybe criticised a little bit in the individual leg, he actually dropped out of the individual race, to save himself for this mixed team relay, and it seems it paid off. He was flipping impressive.
Yeah, on paper, he should not have been able to outrun the German runner there, and he did. Lascelles, on paper, is a much better runner than him, but he outran him by, I think, 6 seconds, got a 6-second lead on him, handing over to Beth Potter. So congratulations to him, kudos to him. I still disagree with his tactics in the individual. I understand, obviously, keeping his powder dry for the run, and actually, don't have any issue with him doing that, to be honest. It was more the manner that he did it, and waving and shouting and getting in, well, not getting in other people's way, but like being on the camera, just ease off the back and step off the course when no one's looking, rather than, yeah. Anyway, it did pay off because he handed over to Beth Potter with a lead.
Potter was actually caught on the bike by none other than Taylor Knibb and Laura Lindemann, who worked very well together. So they came in off the bike as a trio.
For 3 medals.
Yeah, for 3 medals. And it literally came down to a sprint finish. Laura Lindemann took the tape first, and then it was a photo finish between Beth and Taylor.
Yeah, they initially gave it to Great Britain for the silver and bronze to the USA. And then a few minutes later, that was flipped on its head. Looking at the photo, it was quite clear, actually. I mean, there was this much in it. But yeah, silver to the USA, bronze to Great Britain. Pretty much went to the form book, except for France, who came a minute behind.
I am gutted for them because, if I'm honest, I thought they were the team to take.
They were in fourth still. They were 1 minute behind. And when you consider that they didn't have the leaders to draft with on the bike or anything, that is pretty impressive. They almost certainly, I still think they probably would have won the gold, which is, gutting for them, especially when it was none of their fault. They literally were just in the wrong place at the wrong time, hitting Hayden Wild.
No, it's interesting because we had an interesting discussion when we got into the office this morning around the format of the race being draft legal versus non-draft legal.
Yeah. I think the mixed team relay should be non-drafting. They don't need to get TT bikes or anything like that. On your road bikes, as you were. But there's only 16 people on the course. You can definitely have enough space to have it non-drafting. And then you're going to see the lead change. You're going to see the weaker legs and they're going to lose a minute. Then the other legs are going to gain a minute, etc. And the lead's going to change it all the time. And it's going to be all pan out towards the end. And might get amazing finishes. I mean, we had an amazing finish anyway. You can't really criticize when but it was more a race of attrition. You start with 16. And then after the first swim, there's 14. And then after the first leg, there's 12, and then after the third leg, there's only 4, and then onto the last leg, there's only 3 that can possibly even be in contention. Whereas if you have someone like a Hayden Wild on the last leg, they're pulling up New Zealand back into contention when it's been non-drafting, and I think the whole race dynamics changes. And I don't really see the reason. I can understand in the individual, if there's 55 people on a 8-kilometer bike leg, you can't really do non-drafting. But the mixed team relay, you could do non-drafting.
I totally hear you and understand it because, one wrong foot and that's it. You're kind of out of the game. However, I'd argue that is the game and that's the excitement behind it. It is separated by splits of a second.
But if it was non-drafting, the French could have been clawing seconds back the whole way and you would have had...
But in my mind, that's the variables that make it so exciting that if you do just lose touch with a group on the swim, that's it. That's it. Your race could be over, and I find that so exciting about the draft legal format. But be interested to hear from you guys. Let us know in the comment section down below.
I think we need to see a mixed team relay without drafting.
Overall, though, so that's the Olympic triathlon done now, which is quite sad. I've really enjoyed it.
We're going to wait for 4 more years for another one.
I know it's had a lot of criticism, particularly around the venue, and I won't focus on that too much. But overall, I've loved it. I thought the course was amazing. I think it's been a success.
The racing was absolutely incredible. I mean, that finish on the men's, that pass by Alex Yee over an exploded Hayden Wild was heard around the world, and it was so exciting. The women's race was also incredibly exciting. The mixed team relay coming down to a 3-way sprint. I think it's been a real feather in the cap for triathlon in general, despite all the challenges that they had. We are excited for them. Future.
Thank God it was a triathlon there.
Oh yeah, goodness. Would have been good if it was a duathlon. Yeah. Got away with that one. We look ahead to Los Angeles and see what happens there. All right, in the tri news, there is a new non-drafting Olympic distance triathlon on the calendar. And this is kind of a bit of a throwback because these used to be a big thing and then they kind of pitted up into nothing. We haven't seen any of them for a while. Well, Challenge Family has announced a new one in Beijing with a $100,000 prize purse, $20,000 for the winners for a non-drafting Olympic distance race. And it's attracted some big names.
Yeah, we've got the likes of Carl Smith, Frederick Funk, Aaron Royal, Mark DeBrick, On the women's side, Lucy Byram, Amelia Watkinson, Ellie Salthouse. It goes on.
Julie Deron, who just got
Wow.
Yeah. It's a really stacked field. And this got us talking a little bit because we haven't really seen many of these. I mean, Ironman did this push a while ago where they had their 5150 series.
I love that.
Yeah. And they're non-drafting Olympic distance, essentially. And they had decent prize money and they were quite widespread around the world, but they didn't really get the support of the professionals. And we were kind of questioning why and why this one might. But with the advent of the T100 now, it's a non-drafting and it's 100 Ks. And the best way to train for that is probably a non-drafting Olympic distance race. Whereas previously, most long-distance athletes were focusing on Ironman mostly, a few 70.3 specialists, but mostly they were doing Ironman. And dropping all the way down to a 5150, a Olympic distance, was just, it was a little bit too fast and frantic for what you were particularly training for. But now with the best athletes in the world training for a T100, a Olympic distance non-drafting is about as ideal as it gets.
And also, I think times have changed a little bit in the triathlon world. It very much felt like, maybe 10 years ago that short course athletes stuck to draft legal short course racing and never really went over onto TT bikes.
Yeah.
And the long distance guys did all TT bike stuff. Whereas now, I think if you brought back the 5150, what was the American one? Rev 3?
Rev
3?
Harvey.
High V did more. And you actually... the short course guys, I'm pretty sure, would jump into those Olympic distance
Well, look at Martin
non-drafting.
Van Riel, who jumps into T100. Imagine him in an Olympic distance non-drafting. I think this might be an unforeseen consequence of the T100 coming onto the scene, is that we create another whole genre of racing again, or recreate, I suppose, because it did exist previously. Watch the space. The first one, Challengers, put on in Beijing, and it's coming later in the year, so be very interesting. The 8th of September.
Yeah, very exciting. Not so good news. There was a survey or a bit of an investigation that took place at Challenge Roth, in which BR, a news outlet, basically did a survey with, I think it was around 800 athletes. Yeah, 800 participants around doping.
Yeah. Now, this was actually almost exactly the same questionnaire that they did to Ironman Frankfurt in 2011, I think it was. And there they found that 13% of age groupers were doping. This time they found that 11% of age groupers who responded to the survey had done some kind of doping in the last 12 months. So it's going down. That's a good thing, right? No, it's not a good thing at all. It's really bad, actually. And it's kind of like, it's a bit of a gut punch if you've been watching triathlon. It's really not good. There's a whole documentary on it on ARD. You can go watch it. It's in German. I haven't watched it because I didn't understand it. It didn't have subtitles. I'll try to find a subtitle version and watch it. But they do ask specific people, and they actually interview someone on it, a guy called Jens, not his real name. Have you taken substance in the question was, have you taken substance in the last 12 months to increase your physical performance that are only available in pharmacies, from doctors, or on the black market? Anabolic steroid hormones, EPO, growth hormones, or stimulants. And as I say, 11% of the respondents said yes, they had to improve their performance. So the documentary goes on to ask someone who was willing to be interviewed on camera. As I said, they said his name was Jens, but it wasn't actually. He said, why do I start at a disadvantage while all the other professional athletes optimize their blood to the limit with EPO and other methods? And this guy has got EPO from a doctor friend of his, injects it himself so that he can improve his triathlon performance. And that's his reason, because all the professionals are doing it. Why wouldn't he?
It's quite a statement, that, isn't it? Just to assume.
I don't think that's true. No. I mean, this is kind of, as an ex-pro, this is kind of something that I guess will always haunt me. Was I the mug who wasn't doing it while everyone else was? And I would have actually won Kona a couple times instead of getting the top 5 while everyone else was doing it. Was I the idiot who wasn't doing it? Is this guy right? Were they all doing it? Or is this guy completely wrong? And actually, 99% of pros are clean, with the occasional Colin Chartier who is out there being aware about it. I honestly will never know the answer to that. I don't think that Jens is right, and I don't think that all the pros are optimizing their blood using EPO. But it does go on, and they ask him a few more questions, and how he got it, why he does it. One of the things they said was, are you not concerned about how your blood thickens and how it increases your risk of heart attack? To which Jens said it was a risk he'd never really considered, and he needs to investigate it further. I mean, so the reason drugs are banned by WADA or by the anti-doping authorities is because they provide a significant advantage and they're a risk to your health. This is why they are banned. And this guy didn't even look into it. He was just about performance. It's mind-boggling, and it really does like make you question everything that you're watching. Like, it really is frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, just his line about just assuming that all other professionals are doping in some shape or form. And that's a very dangerous road to go down, just in terms of personal motivation in the sport. I mean, if you just start assuming that everyone is doping, I mean, there's no hope for anyone then, is there? What's the point?
Yeah. You've also got to look at the risk and reward. To win your age group, you're going to risk a heart attack? Like, I don't understand. You've gone so far away from the whole point of doing the sport in the first place, for the personal challenge, for improving yourself, etc. If you just if you're just injecting something to get that to be third, second in your age group instead of fourth or fifth in your age, it blows my mind. I mean, maybe it's just me.
I mean, the incentives there for an age grouper to dope are quite limited, really, other than just that sort of pride versus ego. A professional. However, a professional knows that they will be tested. I mean, we just need to bring testing into age group racing, I think, at this point.
Yeah, that would be a good solution. Unfortunately, it's really expensive. Anyway, there's a documentary. It's on ARD. You can go find it and watch it. Translate it for me if you like, because I'd like to watch it. It has brought it back into the limelight, though, the whole question about how many of these Ironman and long-distance triathletes are. All right, race news and just a couple of races to wrap up this weekend. I think everyone's watching the Olympics instead of doing triathlon races at the moment. But there was 70.3 Gdynia in Poland. That was won by Sif Bendix Madsen on the women's side, ahead of Katrine Christensen and Margie Santamaria. Third.
Yeah, on the men's side, it was Max Stapley that took the win, ahead of Gabriel Sunder and Anders Toft Nielsen.
Yeah, there was this post of Max. Do you see him running across the line?
Yeah, I did.
I don't know what that finish tape did to him, but he was pretty cross with it. He was angry Max.
I think he had a couple of caffeine gels on the finish line going in.
Yeah, he was very, very pumped up. Anyway, congrats to him on the win. You may know that Max couldn't qualify for the Olympic Games because he changed country allegiance from Australia to the UK, but he changed it one day too late.
That's why he's angry.
And so he wasn't eligible to go to the Olympic Games. So instead of being at the Olympic Games, he was off in Poland racing this. And maybe that was why he was angry at the finisher's tape, but the finisher's tape got it.
Also, another big event we had this weekend, Norseman. Out in Norway. And actually some pretty big time gaps for the wins here on both the men's and the women's side. So on the men's side, it was won by Sebastian Norberg from Sweden, ahead of Lars Vickert.
29 minutes ahead.
Yeah, and Aurelien Lulay in third. Lars being one of the sub-8 Ironman guys, age group Ironman guys recently. On the women's side, we had Laura Zimmerman actually getting stuck into Norseman, and she won by
pros out there,
43 minutes. Ahead of Kaya Bergwitt-Larsen, Claire Weller in third, and Flora College actually in fourth, who is a previous winner.
So when are you see you back there, Mark?
I would love to do it. If I'm going to go back, I'd like to train even better for it and actually try and perform. And I'm not sure
had a baby, so that's not happening.
No, exactly. So it's not going to happen. I'd love to go back though. Okay, on to our Guess the Athlete section, Try Spy.
Yeah, last week we had this image, and
I think I went too easy this week.
I definitely think you went too easy because we had Marshall Law, Aclamo and Tulio Gonzalez, who all got it wrong, and literally everybody else got it wrong.
So we had Lucy Charles Barkley as a couple of the guesses. Tulio Calvas said Matt Hansen for the back-to-back because he got the previous one, and he was very confident, obviously, about Matt Hansen.
That would have been a good little tricky trick of you. I'll still use the same person. But no, the answer was Imogen Simmons, and everyone, Mark, you're going to have to make this week's one.
So this week, here's your image. Oh, check out that jawline. Is it Mark Webber?
You might have given it away there.
Do your best. Let us know in the comment section down below. Say what? All right. I've got a couple of comments you're going to love, James. All right. So this one from Matthew Cartner under the show last week. Shout out to the South African commentator, refreshingly blunt and straight. Love it. I think this might be in reference to your very strong opinions on Sam Dickinson.
Oh, I thought I was being really diplomatic, actually.
Yeah,
I do have a reputation for saying it as it is. So yeah,
fair.
I'm glad somebody appreciates it.
And we love it. Also, Kate Miles said, sounds like James would like to see a full contact triathlon.
Well, if you ask Rachel Klammer, I think they already had that at the Olympic Games this time.
I don't know, what was that in reference to?
I'm not sure, no.
Oh, that was also onto the show. Anyway, moving on. Another comment we had from This Is Not My Handle said, in quote marks, his legs were gone when running at 3:15 minute per kilometre pace. In that case, my legs have never been.
This was in reference to Hayden Wilde, of course, blowing up in the Olympic Games,
I think
slowing right down to 3:15 per
I think he might be still going quicker than 3:15 minutes.
I think he might have
been. And so yeah, which is still mind-blowing, really, considering. No, thanks. Keep all the comments coming. We love it. We love reading through them. Just a little side note before we sign the show off today. We have actually got a load of training plans on Training Peaks that we've created actually with James's good wife, Jodie Swallow. Jodie Swallow?
Yeah.
What does she prefer?
I think Jodie Cunningham, but she prefers Swallow still for some reason. I'm not sure.
Anyway, she's created some amazing plans that you can get hold of and that, will coach you through to your first triathlon, whether you're coming for a swim, bike or run. So do go check them out. And we've actually got another one coming very soon, focusing on strength training.
Yep. And then if you're looking for something to watch right now, I did an interesting story about carbon plated shoes and the foam that's used in them, because it's not actually the carbon plate that's important, it's the foam. And then after that, Mark and I cut up some carbon plated shoes to see what was inside them, which is coming up this coming weekend on the channel, so look out for that video. Not quite the same in-depth journalism that you got last weekend, but it's going to be interesting and entertaining nonetheless.
Yeah, check it out. Thanks for watching. Hit a thumbs up. See you next time.